Okay, this is a bit of a weird build. It is one that I have played in the past a long time ago when the artifact weapons first came out, the Abyss and Rapier build. Now, I really like this setup because I really like both of these weapons. That being said, it's kind of a weird setup because Abyss doesn't really benefit being paired with Rapier outside of the fact that it makes the build possible. So it's pretty much the only Great Axe that we can pair with Rapier and still have an effective damage build. But in my opinion, the big strength of this build is the combination of these two weapons themselves. They are both very mobile weapons. The Great Axe is fantastic at chasing down targets, and it has the fastest gap closer / longest distance gap closer in the game. Just an instant click to go that huge distance with grit. And then of course Rapier, just so good at movement in general, and both weapons having really nice damage. Even, oh my god, an 8.9k execute. Even on a build like this where we can't take advantage of that 15% damage bonus from Abyss, we are still hitting massive hits with that execute. Now, as always, there is a bit of a build breakdown at the end of this video and a written guide linked down below if that's more what you guys like. And of course, if you have an awesome clip that you want to see in the New World Top 5, feel free to send that to Kristofer at pvpnewworld.com. Best of luck to you guys. Now, let's get into that PvP commentary. We already managed to pick one kill off at the top there, and I end up falling off the edge just due to all the bodies there, but this guy jumps down with me, and he's fairly low health. I just miss him with the Reap. That's one thing, honestly, you could switch out the Reap for the Maelstrom if you want. I feel like it's a lot easier to land, but you know, both of these weapons, Great Axe having so much lifesteal and Flurry having that crazy lifesteal with the Leeching Flurry, I just like the combination of going for Reap because, yeah, we just get to pack on more lifesteal with it. And since we're playing a full melee build, I just love the reach that Reap has, even though you can miss it easier. But you see here with the healer, he's out of reach of my heavy attack, but the Reap manages to pull him in. And there's a Ice Storm down on that side, so I just turn around and I head towards the other player coming this way, awkwardly fall off the edge again, and I get shot at by the guys on top here. It looks like it's just the two healers up here, and I do my best to try to put some damage into these guys. This guy ends up trying to trade with me. We go for the Flurry, such a powerful move with Leeching Flurry, and we go for the Execute, no crit. Oh my gosh, he just survives, and he quickly gets healed up by himself and the other healer there. And this is where I think, you know, if you want to make sure those executes land, you should go for maybe even riposte on the Rapier, but I have a hard time taking Flurry off my bar. I just think it's so good at trading with opponents. Now moving on to another clip here. This one's just to showcase kind of that burst that we got. Go for the execute. This guy handily rolls out of the way. I go for the Reap just to get that interrupt. He tries to trade with the Void Gauntlet. I go into the Flurry, and we got a second player that jumps on top of me there, and he just gets a little bit too close. The roll into the Great Axe light attack, and then the roll again. I love how quickly you can cancel that on the Great Axe light attack. Not only is it a quick cancel, but it has quite a lot of reach, and that's something that Rapier struggles with. So again, the combination of these two weapons just kind of complementing each other really well. But yeah, this guy here, he makes a big mistake rolling, letting his stam go down. We just feed him the pokes with the Rapier, and he ends up going down, and I move towards the next target here. Now, in this clip here, I actually didn't have my Leeching Flurry chest piece on. Not just in this one, but in a couple of these clips, I equipped the wrong piece of gear, and then I'm like, why is my Flurry not healing me, and why am I getting hit when I'm supposed to be invulnerable? And there you see right there, I just take a ton of damage, thinking that my Flurry is going to be the saving grace. Yeah, lesson learned. Always make sure you have the right gear on. Now moving on to another clip, heading inside the enemy outpost here, and we have got two enemy players on top of me, one with Hatchet and one with Greatsword, Sword, and Shield, and both with Greatswords actually, and they just start swinging their attacks at me, and I just love how much lifesteal the Great Axe has. Even in light armor, we can do some pretty safe trades against these guys, and then of course switch to the Rapier, go for the Flurry, into the evade, the flesh through. So much damage on that player with that combo. It's so quick and so snappy, and I really like the combination of these two weapons because you have a really fast and a really slow weapon, so it can just catch people off with the timing that it has. And this guy here, he ends up going for a double roll. I try to punish really hard there. We go for the execute. Again, we don't get the crit. He's so close to dead. And I get body blocked / staggered by the other player in front of me. But I do manage to close that gap onto that guy again. And then I just hit him with the flurry, and down he goes. And then the tankier player here, he pulled his greatsword out and started swinging. So he was in onslaught stance. It allowed me to do a lot of damage to him. And now that a friendly player has come in, he decides to shell up right away. But yeah, again, we've got Rapier and we've got Great Axe. And Great Axe does a ton of stamina damage with those heavy attacks. And of course, I noodle and miss the execute and don't manage to seal the kill there. Perfect timing for the game to end. And moving on to the next clip here. Again, in this clip, I didn't have my Leeching Flurry top on, and I get caught by it at the end of the clip, you'll see. But either way, we are able to stick on top of this guy. Absolutely love that Great Axe has that additional 20% movement speed when we're looking at somebody. There is a lot of people running range builds in today's meta, and yeah, it's punishing if they can get away from you. That being said, because this is a full melee setup, the OPR map just doesn't do it any favors, because if you try to chase a target down and they run out into the open, you are now in the open too, and you'll get shot up by everybody else who's shooting at you. So I got some nice clips today, but I'll be honest, it was a bit of a struggle against all the Rangers, and some of the OPRs were just a nightmare because I kept getting sniped. But anyway, I'm doing my best to work around this tank here. The Rapier's so good at getting behind him. He's not blocking quite a few of those attacks. And then, of course, we switch to the Great Axe. I get a nice block on the incoming hammer stun there, and I'm just trying to land those Great Axe heavy attacks, not only to set up the combo. There's the execute again. That one we popped a little early, but that's okay. The execute is actually a mending execute, so we can get some health out of our opponents with that. And I managed to catch this guy with the Reap, cancel it right away into the gap closer, and a nice clean finish on that guy there. This guy ends up blowing his stamina by dodging, and I just noodle with that execute, man. Oh my gosh, I was having a hell of a time trying to aim that today. I feel like when they made those changes to tracking a couple months back, it has been really hard to hit certain skills, and execute is definitely one of them where I feel like has completely changed. Against this guy, again, I go for the execute. He is below half health, and this tanky boy only takes, I think, less than 3k damage from that. So I just try to keep the pressure on him. Again, we're just putting too much pressure on his block. We end up breaking it, but he heals up just in time for the hammer guy to come in here. And I'm going to try to stay on the tank here. And the Great Axe is nice. We've got a lot of cleave. So even though we're targeting the tank, we're putting some good damage into the other player here. And he ends up blowing his stamina as well, but he gets the bonk with the hammer and the... oh man, he hits the wrong way, and the Sword and Shield player gets the stun on me. And there's that heavy attack. This guy just gets a block broken by that heavy attack, and the tank ends up running away, and I'm going to try to stay on top of him before he can escape. The healer throws his heals down. Yeah, now the fight's getting a little bit more complicated. Again, though, we try to go for the trade with Flurry. I don't have the Leeching Flurry, so we don't get the healing there, and we don't get the invulnerability. But I do manage to break a little bit of distance, get behind some cover here. Nobody ends up following me. They all end up going down here. So I got just the musket guy left, and he, oh man, he knows that I'm right in front of him, and that I'm going to try to get him with that Great Axe. He's just kiting around a little bit. I go for the Rapier to get behind him really fast, and there's a big execute, 7.7k. And look at the huge amount of healing we get from having Mending Execute on the Axe. And then just a little pop with evade on the Rapier there, just to bait their moves out and then turn around and feed them the Flurry. A nice little bit of damage with Reap, but unfortunately I eat a stun from those guys. I turn around, I go for my own Execute. We don't hit super hard with that one, so we don't get a ton of healing out of it. And at this stage, I just want to get to a little bit of cover. I turn around and try to put some pressure on the guy with the staff here. He is trying to escape me, and I blow my stamina trying to stay on him, and there it is, man. If we had had the Leeching Flurry, that would have been all the difference. We could have survived there, but lesson learned, guys. Make sure you have your gear on before you're in PvP. It helps a lot. And finally, for the last clip that I have today, hanging out in the center outpost. I know I don't normally do so much fighting here, but nobody else was here. And I'm fighting these two guys. So much cleave with the Flurry and, of course, the Great Axe. And both players' health dropping really low. And this guy's just spamming light attack. We're able to just rotate around him with our Rapier, get really good damage in. And Then some friendlies start coming in. I think just the one friendly, and he gets absolutely sandwiched. We got 2 more friendlies coming in the door. And I jump off the edge here, trying to pick on the target in the back, but he ends up rolling away. I decide, okay, let's go back inside. Missed the execute again, but that's because he did a good job rolling away from it. Then I go for the flurry on his entomb just to get a little bit of health out of it. Those iframes are valuable not only for trying to seal damage and trade with your opponents, but even if you just poke at nothing and you know there's a lot of damage coming in and you just need to stall, the iframes do a really good job with that. I jump back outside here. I try to get some damage in. I get blasted by the fire staff guy, go through the doorway, and there's that flurry for the trade. And then the great axe, the double gap closer, just so much speed, and I'm able to break out of there. So let's take a look at that build. Starting off with the attribute points, this is an intelligence build. 100 dex is a must if you still want to have some good rapier damage. Great axe will still hit quite hard at 100 dex, 350 intel. Then of course 150 con, 50 focus. I would recommend giving Riposte a try if you don't want to run Leeching Flurry. I think it's really good for setting up your executes, and it kind of functions in the same way as Leeching Flurry because you can ensure that execute lands, and you can get a huge amount of healing power out of it. And I think Maelstrom is also a really good option if you don't want to run Reap or you don't even want to run Execute on this build. You got a lot of options with the Great Axe, to be honest. It has some really good damaging skills. On the Rapier, I highly recommend Omnidirectional Evade or Leeching Flurry, depending on which Rapier you have. My 725 has Omni. So yeah, and then on the Great Axe, I do really like Mending Execute, but I know that other perks are some favorites for people. It's really up to you. I recommend if you're going to use Execute, definitely go for the Mending. And then we have Leeching Flurry on the armor. Past that, lots of Shirking Heals, 4 Refreshing, Shirking Energy on the legs, 1 piece of Hasted Vigor. And then I've got quite a bit of health. Ideally, that would be Elemental Aversion instead of health, but that's the way it goes. And the jewelry is perfect for this build. Honestly, you don't need to run an artifact piece of jewelry. I mean, you could, but I don't really like the artifact jewelry for solo gameplay. But if you have an artifact piece you prefer, definitely go for that. Otherwise, I'll be live again tomorrow. I hope to see you guys there. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good night, everybody.